All right. We are good. We are here. So, what are your top five? Who are your top five, like, idols, icons, inspirations, whatever you want to call it, living or dead? Who are your top five people? Pass or play?
I'll play.
Okay. Let's get
I'll
into
play.
it.
I'll play. Um. So
Well, your
my
beard
favorite.
is on point, bro. I don't
What?
mean to distract you, but the beard's looking mighty strong today.
Oh, thank you.
Putting on your best
um.
Harden right now. This is really crazy.
I had to listen, man. I was looking really rough. It's okay. I was looking how I was feeling. I'm gonna be honest.
Got you, got you.
But thank you. Um. So my number one, you might know my number one. So I'm gonna go from five
All right.
down. And this doesn't this, does is this list purely famous or?
No. Anybody in your life?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
okay.
Daniel had asked me and the guys in the group chat the other day, so it inspired me to do this one today.
Okay. Okay. Um. All right. So my number five was the I mentioned him before, but it was this guy called his name was Lugo. Um. We called him Lugo, but his actual name was Tony.
Yeah, I remember.
And he was the first guy that my mother had dated that I just felt any sort of connection with, and any sort of of a father figure was in that because he didn't have to be like that.
Yeah.
This was you were purely dating my mother, so you really didn't have like yeah you could be one of those guys who are like I'm dating this woman, so I have to be there for the kids. But this is someone who was genuinely there, like
Yeah.
he it wasn't a lie, it was real. He'd sit down, he'd talk with us, he'd play games with us, he was just there, like. And my older brother, he didn't like that, so it was just like, there was a bit of a struggle there, but it wasn't like it was on both sides, it was just one-sided. And that was because my other brother also has like daddy issues, so he's like, who the fuck are you, you know what I mean,
Right,
like.
right.
And you know there was a time where, like, my brother had attacked him, and they were and I'm gonna say tussling because Lugo never put his hands on him. Like, he literally was just holding him like a wrestler. Like, while my older brother was hitting, he was like tussling with him.
Yeah.
He was like, I'm not trying to hit you, like, you know what I mean? And at the end of it, like, my brother ended up having a lot of respect for this dude. Like, I think me and my brother have only had respect for this one dude because he had shown love in a way that we had never experienced before. But this was a man who was trying, and he didn't have to. They weren't married. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
and this was a loving person. And I say he's number five because there are four others that, like, but realistically, if I look at my list, he really should be at like a number two.
Yeah.
But
Because it's a more personal connection.
yeah,
I got you.
he really should be at number two. But there are times where I think of him. He's not here anymore, but I would have liked to see how the relationship would have gotten better,
Yeah.
if it could have gotten better. Um, so that's my number five. Do you want to do like a back and forth situation or?
I mean, we can. This was more for you to say yours, but we could do back and forth. But if we're gonna do that, then let's hit the intro real quick.
Okay.
Um, what's going on, everybody? Uh, I'm Kirk Hill Jr.
And I'm Philip Rios. And
and
we
we
are
are.
Phil and Hill.
There we go. um, if you're following us, please listen to all of our episodes. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, you name it. Uh, all of our previous episodes are there. And be sure to catch us on YouTube. We're going to start putting shorts on YouTube and uploading stuff. And TikTok at some point. And then we're working on the Patreon, working on everything. Merch will be coming next year, but we just giving a quick shout out to it. So
Excited
we're
for that.
yeah. You know, we got plans, Phil and I. So this is really cool.
If you
Today,
guys listen to us, right? Our merch has to do with something we've spoken about.
oh yeah.
So there's a hint there for anybody who's listening to us. Our merch has to do with something we have spoken about.
Yeah. Oh, it's gonna. Oh, yeah. It's gonna look. It's gonna look awesome when it comes out. I'm super excited for it. Um, but yeah. This is our safe space for hot takes. This is what we do. Just two dads kicking it. Today we're talking about the people we look up to. You know, like I said, icons, idols, inspirations, whatever you want to call them. Um, so see, I don't have a five in any particular order. Um, but if we're just going one and one, so you got your guy. My if I had to put him fifth, I guess I would say Walt Disney, and it's kind of because of not necessarily the person, like you know what I mean, like not necessarily of
You'd say the
Walt
more of
Disney.
the empire.
Yeah, it's not really Walt Disney like the man, and that's kind of what we're gonna get into as we go further into the episode. But you know, it's more of like his impact and his um, perseverance, his tenacity, his visionary mind. You know what I mean? Like, um, I just I appreciate the fact that like this man always had some idea somewhere, and like the grind to like you know he made Oswald the rabbit, and then the studio took it from him, and then he made Mickey Mouse, and now Mickey Mouse is like the icon, right up there with like Jiminy Cricket and Tinkerbell. Like he's like the guy, you know, like the mascot for Disney, and the fact that he voiced the fact that Walt Disney voiced Mickey Mouse in the beginning for like the first like 15 years or something like that, and then he you know, the fact that he mortgaged his house so that he could finance making Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs because like he believed in it so much. You know what I mean? And like adjusted for inflation, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is still one of the highest grossing films of all time. You know what I mean? It's the one that started it all. He created this company that has outlived him, and now he's who he is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's just amazing. And then like
Still to this day.
people will know the name Disney forever. Like that's because of what he did. And you know, like, I can throw in other like honorable mentions as far as like George Lucas or Sylvester Stallone or like August Wilson. Like those are like big inspirations to me. But like Walt Disney had a deeper impact because it's like this man just did not waver and like found a way to make these things happen and kept seeing like what's the next step, what's the next big thing, like you know, like he didn't stop at, you know what I mean. Most people in their life, they dream of like making Mickey Mouse, or they like everyone's searching for their Snow White, like what's the thing that puts me on. But then he's like, I'm not stopping at Snow White. I'm making Fantasia. Like, I'm not stopping at Fantasia. I'm doing live action movies. I'm not stopping at live action movies. I'm making Disneyland. I'm not stopping at Disneyland. I'm gonna make Disney World. Like, that's who he was. And like, I appreciate that visionary mindset, and it's a big inspiration for me. So that would be like my number five, which is crazy because like I said all of that, and he's only number five. So you know what I mean. So if we're going back and forth, that's five for me.
Okay. Um. Yeah, my number four would be my oldest brother, and he wasn't a perfect. Nobody's really perfect, but my number four would be my brother Richie, and he was the one who fought Lugo, and I say this to this day, and I truly mean it. I don't think I make it this far without him.
Yeah.
Um, everything that I believe in, everything that I, hold dear to me is because of him. Lessons of loyalty and being who you are and unapologetically being you is because of him. And, till this day, there are moments where I go back to conversations that we have and try to pick out things that he was telling me throughout the way,
Hmm.
and I never really I got time with him, but I never really got time with him. He was in and out of prison very frequently. So, like when I had him out, I had him out. So like I could pick his brain and talk to him about
Yeah.
things. And so yeah, so it's just I'd say he's my number four if because he honestly does mean a lot to me. Even though like me and him aren't speaking right now, there's no I honestly would say there's nobody I go into battle with harder for him.
Yeah.
I go to bat for this man any turn of events. You know, like he's my one who I'm gonna defend when nobody else is defending him.
Gotcha.
Um, because I know how imperfect he is, but I also know the person that he's not letting nobody see. So
Mm.
yeah, that's my number four. I know I'm getting my listen. My number three and on are not.
Nah, it's cool.
Those two had to be that because I can't leave them off my list. They shape who I am.
Nah, I feel you. And honestly, I'm doing the same thing. I'm just going in the reverse order. Like as I
Okay.
get closer to one, it becomes more and more personal. So we're doing the same thing. We're just doing it in the opposite way. But like, yeah, my number four is Will Smith, and you know, and he's gone down because of like recent stuff. Again, stuff we're gonna get into in a bit. But like right now, I as an actor, he's an inspiration for me because like the the charm that he brings to a lot of his roles, and then when I read his book and the way he like carefully crafted which movies he would do, that's kind of cool that he figured that out early in his career, relatively, because from like Independence Day on, he kind of like was like, I know exactly how I want my career to go, and Independence Day is like what his fifth movie, so for you to be able to have that kind of again vision, because I consider myself like a visionary kind of person, so like for you to be able to see that early in your career and be like, yeah, this is how I want my trajectory to be. That's cool, and I really respect that. But more so, and people clown me for it my whole life, but more so, he's when I think about who I am musically, Will Smith is a big inspiration for me rap wise because I grew up like raised to not listen to certain kinds of music and to not, present a certain characteristic or a stereotype, and Will Smith just made rap that I could enjoy. There was no reason that I couldn't listen to Will Smith other than people were gonna make fun of me for it. But other than that, it was like his raps are just about like enjoying life. And then he talks about like deep stuff too in other songs, but it's so approachable. Like it's a universal kind of thing. Like anybody at any age can listen to Will Smith. And if they're with it, like they can rock out. His samples are some of the best samples. Um, Big Willie style is to this day like my favorite rap album. And objectively I believe it's one of the best rap albums just because of like the way it's structured. The Jamie Foxx interludes are hilarious. Um, the flow from track to track is great. Um, I can listen to it from start to finish, no skips. Not really. So there's only like two songs on there that I think are like a little less than like great, but and I can't say that about a lot of people. Now, is he like? And again, objectively, is he like the greatest rapper ever? No, but for a kid like me growing up, watching him make movies and watching The Fresh Prince, but then being able to listen to a CD of his and just jam out like all day while I'm doing my homework and not have to worry about, oh, my mom's gonna tell me to turn it off. Like it's just it's the way I approach my music. Like I want to make music that anyone can listen to. You know what I mean? Like I don't really have a demographic. I'm just telling stories. And to me that's like pure rap. Like I'm just telling a story, doing it to a cool beat, and just rock out with me for a little bit. Like that's cool. And it's no disrespect to any rapper that raps in other ways. Everybody has their genre. Everybody has their flow, their type. As long as you're being true to yourself, I respect it. You know what I mean? But it's just Will Smith's rap is just it's the only thing that really stuck with me. That was like, yeah, this is my guy. Like I can play this at any moment, and that's really cool. So that's why he's four. Now that he used to be higher up on the list, but like right now, I still look up to him and appreciate him more for like a music aspect and just what that did for me and how it influenced my style of rap. Yeah,
See, so like I know my number two, like my two and one. It's the third one that I'm having an issue with
yeah.
because it's between three people.
Mm,
One of them you just said, because I can appreciate him. Like
yeah,
I appreciate Will Smith very much, and yes, recently, it's not been the greatest. And it's not a light that I want to see him in.
right.
It's kind of like it's just seeing like your superhero almost like everything just taken away from him. So it's just like the mystique is gone. Like
Yeah,
how I held you isn't where I held you before this,
yeah,
and it sucks because like it's coupled with a lot of things. It's not even just one thing. It's just you have what he did, then you have what she did, and she keeps going on this press tour and demolishing his characteristics. Like
yeah,
she is
yeah,
demolishing him single handedly, and it's just like, and they're like, well, why don't you leave Jada alone? No, why don't you leave us alone? Like nobody asked you. We don't want to hear your side. We don't want to hear nothing from you. Like nobody asked to hear your dirty room secrets with him.
yeah,
Like we don't we didn't want this to begin with. Like it's just off putting to me. But
No, I get that.
It's just off, man. So I'm not gonna put him. You put him already, but I do hold that person also. I do hold Will Smith that there too because what he's done, his
Yeah.
career alone is amazing.
Oh, of course, of course.
You couldn't have projected that man in any way. If you had told me this is him from Fresh Prince is gonna go and do this and this and this, you're gonna be like, what?
Exactly.
Hell no, that's crazy. Um, my second one is John Leguizamo, right? Like, out of the three,
Yeah.
out of the three, I'm gonna end it with my third,
Okay.
but I have John Leguizamo there just simply for him being the face for Latinos in a time where that wasn't it.
Yeah.
You know, this is a man who he was forward thinking too. He was dressing in drag.
Yeah.
You know, like, and this is a genuinely smart and funny person that, you know, if you meet him, he's not that way. That's another thing. He's like that in real life. He's cool.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, watching him, you almost get, you know, as a Latino, you also get to see, like, damn, maybe I could do something like that. Maybe, you know. All right, now my third. I've gotten those out the way. I'm going to say Christian Bale. I'm
Okay.
saying Christian Bale because the way that this man is able to transform is on a different level. I don't know how he does it. I don't know when he every time he transforms, like how he don't get sick or something go wrong.
Right.
But like, man, holy crap. He's
Yeah.
like the real life master in disguise. Like, no bullshit. Like, it's just crazy to me to see that and watching him. You know, I've never seen him in any drama. I've never seen this man in any like salacious things in the tabloids.
Nah. It was just that
You
one time he cursed out some dude on I think it was on the Terminator set. Like he lost it. But other than that, no. There's I never really hear nothing crazy about it.
But I mean, like, you're human. So I mean, you know, if you, it happens.
Yeah.
Shit happens like that. But like, every time I see a Christian Bale movie, I'm never let down. I can honestly say he's not let me down in any regard watching any of his movies. And he just has a swagger about him that just like it's just good. It's just
Yeah.
really good, you know? Um yeah, that's my number three.
Got you. Well, my number three had to be Michael Jackson. I mean, the king of pop. You
I'm
know
not
what I
mad
mean?
at that.
He made Thriller. I said it before. I said it. Dave Chappelle said it. Everybody said it. Like one of the greatest albums of all time. I just again the the way his mind was creatively. Like this is the way I want this song to sound. There's a way I want these instruments to come in. There's a way I want these vocals to stack up against. Like Eli sent me a text of like I think it was Thriller and the way he like stacked his vocals on the track. And I'm like, yo, this man is amazing. Like even Remember the Time. Like the end of Remember the Time when he starts stacking his vocals, I'm like, yo, this is a genius. His music videos are like then it transcends the medium. Like it's not even a music video at that point. Like he called them short films because that's basically what they were. Like it's like mini musicals at this point. And you know his tours globally selling out, people fainting
Yep.
in the aisles. Like it's wild, you know. And just the way he saw the world was just different. You know, controversy aside, all that other stuff. Like
Yeah.
again, just that was from 2 years old. I already knew like this guy's different than everybody else. Like his music hits different than everybody else. Like it's crazy. And you know, for me to even make one song that even rivals his worst song, like that was the bar, that was the standard that he set, and I'm just like, yo, this is crazy. And like back to back to back, like it's one of the best runs of albums of all
Yep.
time. For you to go from
Yep.
off the wall to Thriller to Bad to Dangerous, you would even throw in History in there if you want to, but like that's insane. Like you know, and then on top of that, all the things he did with his brothers before he went solo, like from 9 years old up, you're just a beast. How do you do that?
Yep.
Like it, it's insane. I have so much respect for Michael Jackson as a, a, a trailblazer. Like just you know being uniquely him, sticking to his gun, sticking to his vision, and demanding perfection out of himself because that's what the people deserved. Like that's how he lived his life, you know? And you can't help but respect that. Like bro, you know, I mean, and to his detriment, like bro put himself in the hospital trying to get like ready for his tours. He started taking pills and like couldn't sleep at night. Like, you know, but it's just like the people need it. Like my people need me. I gotta be. I'm Michael Jackson. I have to put on the
Yeah.
show. You know, and he lived and died by that philosophy, and that's just
Yep.
you know I you know what can you say that hasn't been said?
Nah,
Like
you really that that Michael Jackson is the greatest. And the fact that I can literally just go in, grab any song, and just it's gonna hit.
yeah,
That alone is amazing. I can go and grab any music video that he's done and it's gonna hit.
right.
You know, I'm still, to be honest with you, I'm still finding like videos to this day where I'm like, holy shit,
Yeah.
like that's amazing. And he did that.
hmm
So
Even the
yeah,
outfits, like the outfits are iconic. Like everything.
oh my god. To this day, people are emulating his outfits.
Right.
And they were uniquely him.
hmm
They, you've had an impact on the world that will never be forgotten. Like
Exactly.
that's never going anywhere. Like so I agree with you. I agree with you. All right, top two.
Top two.
Top two. My number two is Jim Carrey.
I was just watching this in his documentary the other day on Netflix. That man is
My
that man is beautiful. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
my number two is Jim Carrey. I was a child when I watched Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, when Nature Calls,
Hilarious movie. Oh my god.
and
It's so much better than the first one. So much better than the first one. I love
that
when
is
they do
that is one of those movies where I can say the sequel is far better than the first one.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god! As a kid, he had me laughing. As a teen, he had me laughing. As an adult, I am still laughing.
Yep.
You have you have raised me laughing. This man, there's no words to describe the genius and the love I have for that man. Because from that one movie, I followed him. There was no other medium for me. Like, I'm following you. So whatever you do, I'm gonna watch you.
Yeah.
Because from you had opened the door. So it's just like, so from Ace Ventura, Truman Show, Liar Liar, Bruce Almighty, my other Me, Myself, and Irene, which I die laughing to this day,
It's a
is,
great movie.
oh my god. Um, it's just his body of work also, like, is just what he's able to do with his facial expressions and his body.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anybody's touching that, man. Still to this day, like, you see him and he's just being him.
Yeah.
Every time he popped up, after we hadn't seen him for a long time, when he popped up on those award shows, I was dying
Mm-hmm.
because he always was like, I just came here. Whatever, like, it's not that crazy.
It's so
And then,
effort. His comedy is so effortless. Like it's crazy.
and like, he's one of the people that came from In Living Color. Like,
Yeah.
to say that is already amazing.
And he always gives them credit.
Oh,
You know,
he
for putting
doesn't
him
shy
on.
away from he does not shy away from giving them love.
Yeah.
And that's just who that man is. Like, yeah, man, Jim Carrey, and mind you, he Dumb and Dumber. Oh my god, I forgot Dumb and Dumber.
Classic.
Yo,
Classic.
I love those movies, and I'm going to show those movies to my daughter, and they she's gonna love them because they are just so wacky and fun, and it's just really good entertainment. Like,
Yeah.
there's nothing else like it. This man, he's just different, man. He's just different, and I think that's why, like, I'm okay if he stops acting, and I think he is done acting.
He's earned it.
Um, no, he's done his. That's it. He's done
Yeah.
his time. Like, and I don't blame him. You know, like, you've done your time. Live out your riches. You know,
Yeah.
live the best life you can. It sucks because it's like, damn, I would love to see you in you know, you're never gonna want to see your hero retire, but
Right.
I can, I can, I can know that he's earned it.
Yeah.
So I may not want you to retire, however, I'm aware that you've earned that. Like, I can't take that away from you, but I have a whole bunch of movies that I can go back and watch.
Absolutely.
A whole bunch of fun times that you've given me. So I'll be all right.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my number two.
Nah, I feel you. I feel you. If you haven't seen his documentary on Netflix, Jim and Andy, you got to watch that because it chronicles him playing Andy Kaufman in Man on the Moon,
Got you.
and like the way he stayed in character throughout the whole filming process, and he like reflects back on it, and then it talks about like his origins, like growing up in Canada with his father and all that. Like it's really cool. You got to check it out. It's a dope.
I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah, it's on Netflix. It's a dope
I
documentary.
I also love documentaries. So
Me
you
too.
just gave me, yeah, you just gave me two things. Like, I just said that he's my number two, and you're giving me a documentary with him. I'm gonna watch it. That's
Yeah.
all right.
So now, top two, we're getting personal with me. So, I mean, it goes without saying, my mom and dad are number one and two. But I'm gonna put my dad at two, just because I didn't live with him. You know, I was with my mom every day, seeing her through highs and lows. Like this, just It's just no one like my mom. But my dad is right there number two because like it's weird. Their influences on me are very significant. Like my dad has had a lot of external influence on me in terms of like things that I like in the world. I like them because of my father. Like I like basketball because of my father. I play sports because of my father. I love Star Wars because of my father. I love Rocky because of my father. Like all of these things that shaped who I am and what I like to do, it's because of my father. Like the way I love movies is because of the way my dad would describe movies to me. Like my dad used to be so passionate about things that he liked, and just the way he'd tell me a story of like, yo, you should have seen the way Magic Johnson used to play, or yo, when Muhammad Ali and Frazier, like those fights were legendary, son. Like the way he would just describe these moments and the way that he tell me what kind of movies I should be watching. It's just like, whew, like if my dad loves it that much, it's gotta be like amazing. So everything that I love is really because of my dad. And I've just grown into my own person and taken it to, you know, a different level than what my father did because my father was very much an athlete. But um, and I ended up doing like theater and music and all that other stuff. But my dad always supported me. And my dad was always like, nah, if this is your pocket, like do that and be the best. Because when I played ball, no one could tell me that I wasn't the best on the court. So when you're on stage, nobody could tell you that you're not the best actor on the court. You're the best singer on that stage. Like this is you. If that's what you love doing, and I'm gonna be there for all of it. And he was, you know. And it's just, yeah, the way he just inspires me and supports me, and just seeing his impact on other people. I can never forget those days walking with him in the street and kids that he worked with at his job that had grown up, and they're like, "Oh, Kirk, it's good to see you. Oh my God, this is your son? Like that's crazy. Oh, you." And then they'll be like, "Oh, you look just like your dad," or "You don't know how cool your dad was. Like your dad was the best. He was the best person there. He always looked out for me. Always tried to keep me on the right path. Like all that other stuff. Like that's who my dad was." And every time I'd come around with my friends and my friends had things that they were going through, my dad was right there. Like just giving them advice, just dropping knowledge, and the way he looked out for people and the way his pride, his confidence in himself is something I still try to live up to this day, you know? Like there's just a way that he carried himself that was just that's a hero. And there's like nothing else you could say. And then as a father, every day I'm like again just trying to live up to that example and doing what I can for Michael and doing what I can for Denise and trying to create that bond that just can't be broken, you know, and just trying to be a person that they can look up to the way I looked up to my dad, you know? So it's it's just I can't put into more words like what he is to me, you know? So yeah, it's my hero.
Yes. Well, you left off that's being a hero. My number one is Kevin Conroy,
Batman.
Batman. For anybody who doesn't realize that,
Heard it.
to this day, I can look at a picture of Batman and I can see stills of Batman, and he's the only voice that I'm ever gonna hear as that character. My first time ever watching Batman, it wasn't Kevin Conroy. I was introduced to Batman with Adam West,
Got you.
but the one that clicked was animated Batman. That's the one that clicked. And it wasn't because it was animated. It was because the person who was voicing him was just so damn good
Yeah.
at capturing what he sounded like. And like Adam West never did it for me. And for a lot of other people, he did do it for them. But whenever I saw Batman, I didn't hear Adam West. I heard Kevin Conroy. And I grew up watching the animated series, and then I followed it. I followed it up with Batman Beyond, and he's also in that. And I followed it up with Justice League, and I just kept going. And anytime that he wasn't voicing Batman, I missed him. You know what I mean? I just hope that the other person was as good as him,
Yeah.
because you that's the one thing. Like, you got to follow this man up, who's been voicing this character whew, for as long as I'm alive. Like,
Yeah.
so you got to follow that up, and you got to be good. Luckily, he's not had any bad actors. I'm gonna be honest with you. He hasn't had any bad voice actors. But for me, that character, Batman, it's crazy that they go co in hand. But Batman, for a lot of my life, has been sort of like a father figure for me.
Yeah.
And it's just, by day he's Bruce Wayne, by night he's Batman, and it was just like, holy shit, like, and you don't realize the duality of it all, but like, Bruce Wayne is the actual mask, and Batman is the real person. Batman is the one who was left on the in the alley with his family, and it's just like, wow, man, like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's who was left in the alley, was his creation, was Batman. And it was just like, wow, holy shit. And when you figure that out, like, however anybody figures that out, right? Whether it was, because I know a lot of people figured that out on The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
Figured that, like, Bruce Wayne was the mask and Batman was the actual face, like, of who he actually is. But when you figure that out, it's almost like, it was like a whodunit. Like, what?
Yeah.
Like, he's pretending this whole way, but he's doing it effortlessly.
And you feel that just through the voice. You feel
Yeah,
you feel the pain, you feel the anger, you feel the fear even. Like, the regret. Just that's yeah. That being Batman is crazy. The fact that you believe this character so much. Like, that show is enjoyable because he carries that show. Like,
yep,
you know, and every incarnation of him that he's done. Like,
yep,
it's crazy. Like, the fact that he can go from old voice to young voice, and then the fact that Bruce and Batman have two different voices and
yep,
inflections, like that. That's tough to do, and he kills that.
yeah. And it's,
Like in the Justice League episode when they go back in time, and he's talking
yep,
to himself, and
yep.
you hear both voices. It's trippy. It's trippy.
He's like, I can't believe I was ever that, like, morbid. Like, he's like,
And he's like, I'm surprised to hear. I'm surprised to see I lived this long. Like, it's
yeah.
great.
Like, that episode is always a treat to go to, because it's like, again, like you said, you get to see young Batman interact with old Bruce Wayne,
Yeah,
essentially old Batman. But like, it's just, it's wonderful. And when he died, I think it hit me a lot more than it hit other people. And I understand, I like if it hit you, it hit you, and it probably hit you the same way it hit me. But it was just like,
Nah, I
man,
remember that because we had
I'm
just
never
talked
gonna
about
hear
it.
him.
We had just talked about it right before it happened. So
Yeah,
that was
because
wild.
he was one of my guys that I wanted. Like I
Yeah,
was like, I want to interview him. Like
yeah.
I just want to pick his brain. Like I just want to talk to him before he goes. And I literally said that those words before he leaves this earth. I
Hmm.
want to talk to him. And then
Like, yeah, like a couple days later, it was he died. Like that was insane.
I was just like, oh man, like
Yeah,
so it fucked me up. It really did. And I was like, I'm not okay.
yeah,
And again, like I said, it was like losing a father. Like, damn, man, like I never get a chance to talk to him. Like that was the one person, and like I really just want to speak to. But you know, I digress. That's my number one. That's always gonna be my number one.
yeah. I, no, no debate there. I get it. I get it. Number one for me is my mom. Like I said, just living with her, you know, and seeing who she was, what she had to deal with. My respect for her in terms of like her occupation, um, and all of that. Good. Yeah. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Uh, yeah, and just like her, her strength is what I look up to the most. Um, and I just really appreciate how she took care of us, despite everything going on. Her raising my sisters and I mostly by herself. Um, you know, s- courage. And like I said, my mom's influence on me is very internal in terms of like how to be a good person, how to be, you know, a good son, how to be, being a good student. And my dad had influence in that too, of course. But like, just having goals for yourself, having a vision for your life. Um, my mom taught me a lot about faith. You know, my faith in God is definitely influenced by my mother, and just how you want to treat people and how you want to go about your life, being welcoming and open. And living a life that going for what you know you deserve and fighting for better. My mom sacrificed so that we could do things that she never had an opportunity to do. Paying for my college out of pocket, taking us to Disney World when we were, what, 4, 6 years old, um, going on cruise ships, going to amusement parks, seeing different places, getting out of New York. Like, all of that was because my mom was like, I want y'all to experience things. I want y'all to see what y'all can have. And I want you to know that you can achieve anything you want. Like, that's beautiful. And my mom worked really, really hard for that. And her living the life that she's living now is still inspiring to me. That's what I want. I'm trying to get the house. I'm trying to chill. I'm trying to retire early. Like this is. I just want to enjoy my life. Like I love that. I love that from my mom. So that's just she's still teaching me things. So yeah, that'll never go away. My mom is like the number one hero, obviously. But it's like 1A, 1B. Like mom and dad is like right there. So yeah. So that's it. And then, before we wrap up, I just the point of all of this was be like, what happens when those heroes don't live up to expectations? You know, because we never really talked about it on the podcast, and we can go into it longer on another episode because we ended up going through the whole list today. But it's like when you see people through those rose tinted glasses, and it's like they can do no wrong in your eyes, and then that perception gets ruined. It kills you to an extent. Like it's like, whoa, like what happened? Like that's not how this goes. You know, that's not who you're supposed to be. That's not what you taught me to be. You know, and that is hard to come to grips with. And I think when it came to like Will Smith, for example, everything at the Oscars, it was such an eye opening moment for me because I finally saw his flaws and
Yeah,
I finally saw like his humanity, you know? And that was a hard thing to accept at first. And then even growing up, like whenever anyone said anything negative about Michael Jackson, I was ready to throw hands because I just didn't want to hear it. I didn't want to hear it. But as you get older, you realize, nah, Michael had his flaws. Michael had his issues. Like, I'm not gonna say he was a perfect person, you know.
yeah.
And then with my mom and dad, when you grow up and you realize, oh, wait a minute, like they do stuff I don't like, and not on some petty like, oh, they don't let me do everything I want to do, but on some like, whoa, the way he said that was kind of crazy, or the way he did that was kind of wild, or the way she goes about this, I don't really like. Why?
I don't really
Like, why would
jive
you
with
do that?
that. Yeah,
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 and it's kind of like, oh yeah, you make mistakes just like everybody else, you know,
yeah.
and it's a weird thing because it can be either an eye-opening moment to be like, all right, now I can see you on a newer level, and it can strengthen the bond, which is what I think happened with my parents and I, or it can like kind of just kind of bring people down and allow you to distance yourself from it, which is what I think happens with the outside people. I don't glorify my heroes the way I used to. Like I don't put Will Smith on this pedestal no more. And even though as much as I love Michael Jackson, like Michael Jackson's not like the be all end all in my life no more. And it was at one point. I used to look at these people like they were gods, and like now I don't. And sometimes it's disappointing, but I think it allows me to just focus more on myself and just be like, well, you've had enough time to look at who you want to be like, but just who is Kirk? Like, who are you going to be? And you can take bits and pieces from like everybody that you're inspired by, you know? So I think that's what that was for me. And part of me still feels like with Will in particular, part of me feels like he's kind of trying to do that same thing that he's always done, where it's like, all right, what's the next thing I can do? Instead of like, the curtain got pulled, man. Everybody saw it. Everybody saw what happened.
Just be
So just
you. That's
so just
it.
so just own that. And I
Yeah.
don't know. It's just so weird. It's like everything that he does now, and I could be wrong, but it's just that's what that moment did for me.
Yep. Yep.
Everything that he's done, everything that he does now, it feels so curated. It feels
It
so
feels
like
forced. It feels forced.
yeah,
It doesn't.
and
It feels
I can't
manufactured. It doesn't feel
yeah,
genuine. It
I
feels.
can't shake that feeling of like he planned this. Like this isn't
Yeah, like this isn't genuine. Like,
yeah.
and it sucks to feel that way. But it doesn't make it, and it also doesn't make it better that you got your wife out here just being crazy, like just
And,
pulling the curtain back even more.
and you know what it
And
is? Like
it's
yeah,
just like, come on, like
Jada has her own flaws. I'm not gonna murder her, but because she's got her everybody got issues, but like the way she goes about certain things, I really don't agree with. But it's just I don't know. at a certain
Some
point,
shit you gotta keep private.
yeah, and honestly, at a certain point, I feel like the both of them should have just took a break, and either from each other or just from the public, and be like, yo, let's just like step back. Let's just figure out what this really is, you know. And now I'm at a point where, and it sucks again because, like I said, Will Smith's one of my heroes. But now I'm at a point where like I don't really care what he does. Like I'm not excited about any new movie he'll
You're
make.
happy. You're happy with just viewing him the way you did. You're
Yeah,
happy with
I just
like if you
appreciate his
left him at
influence in my life.
yeah if you left him at the last movie that you saw him in, which was great, you'd leave him there.
Yeah, like if the movie
And
ends at King Richard and that's it, and I'm like, oh, he finally won his Oscar. That's the end of that story, and that's all I want to tell people. Like I'm good with that, and I don't really need anything else from him. Like that's how
yep,
I feel, you know. And like Michael Jackson is dead. Walt Disney is dead. So there's really nothing else. Like everything that they do now, everything that happens with them now is legacy. You know what I mean? And just what they've left behind. Will's not at that point, you know. And like Will hasn't retired. Will hasn't died. You know. And I'm not wishing anything bad to happen to him, but I'm just saying like it's in this place now where it's like, well, what do you do? Same like question with myself, like who is Kirk Hill? Who is Will Smith really? And what does he mean to the world? What does he mean to me? And now I'm at a point where I'm like, I don't really know anymore. And that
yeah,
bothered me for a long time because Will was like, there was a point where I looked up to Will almost as like right under there, like under my parents, as like, whoa, one of the greatest people I could ever think to be like. And now I'm kind of like, no, I'm good on that. I don't want
yeah.
Will's. I don't want Will's life. I don't. You know. So, and that's just a weird thing. That's a weird thing to say. Like for a person like me, everybody who knows me knows I love Will Smith, but like that's just where I'm at now, and you know. And it took a while for me to accept that. It took a while for me to really accept that. But after this book came out and like the way he responds and like everybody was asking me like, "Yo, Kirk, how you feel about this? What you feel about your man Will Smith?" And all I can tell them is like, I'm over it. I'm really over it. Like, you know.
Oh man, it sucks. It sucks. It really does. It's bad. And I agree with you. You know, I had that moment. I had that moment with. We'll wrap it up, but I had that moment with my brother where, for a lot of that, the way that you view like your mom and your dad, I viewed my brother, where it was
Yeah.
like, you know, like for all intents and purposes, my brother was also he was doing double duty. He was being my father and being my brother,
Yeah.
and you know, I viewed him as such. So like anytime anybody came at me sideways about him, I'm like, what? What you talking about? Like, let's go.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I'm willing to go to bat for him. And you know, and I never sat there and I let anybody talk crap about him or anything like that because I know the real him. You may not know him, but I do. I'm not gonna let you talk shit about him. But you know, again, when you see the bad things happen, and you see the curtain pulled, and you get to see what essentially the life is for them is it really just it really kind of like diminishes how you view them any longer. Like you're like, oh,
Yeah.
man, like I used to view you this way, and it just doesn't work anymore. Like I
Yeah.
still go to bat for you, but not the way I used to.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, I get it.
But you know, the best way to honor those heroes is just to, like I said, take the best parts of them and just be that person in your life and just try to live up to that example, you know.
Yeah.
And then when we fall and when we lose our way, you know, it's not the end. You know, there's always a chance to fix things, to revamp. rebuild yourself up, but you just got to do it the right way and do it genuinely. You got to do the work, and that's where I'm at in my life now. I'm just trying to do the work and just trying to be the example. You know. So yeah, this was cool. This was a good one. This is a good one. I like this episode. I hope everybody enjoyed. If you liked it, please like and follow us on Spotify. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please leave us a rating and leave a review. It helps us to grow and get noticed more in the algorithm, I guess, whatever it's called. And yeah, stay tuned for the next episode. We got a lot of ideas for things coming up soon. We're definitely going to talk MCU. And then we got a big movie themed episode coming in December. So look out for that. And then, yeah, stay tuned for the merch.
The merch.
It's going to be great. It's going to be great. Well, you've heard of Alpha and Omega. This is Phil and Hill. Stay tuned. Be blessed.